Yes, again, LPM today had a wonderful day, wonderful engagement. We were raising issues. We are bringing issues to the fore that ordinary Namibians are feeling out there. What falls short today is the delivery of the SONA of the president that really did not address the pertinent issues of our people. That question of drought was not addressed. The question of the conditions of people living in Ozinger and wherever, people lost livelihoods. And I think generally, this song has been coming up for the last 30 years. So the whole thing, it continued all together for the last 30 years. And SWAPO again has demonstrated that they don't have any capabilities to lead this nation with all dignity of them.
You're very right, Oz. I have to agree with my leader. Today was SONA and was our first experience. Me as a young person coming to see the president who has made a lot of young people unemployed and not addressing our issues. It was a good experience because we got to go head on, one-on-one, and he got to also look at how young people are standing up and are being empowered, and he finally did give an attribute to the young ladies who are in parliament, myself included. One of the things that I didn't appreciate about him is that he kept on emphasizing the good of Harambee, but we all know that Harambee has a lot of shortfalls. He did not precisely go into depth on what were the issues that were the fallbacks of the Harambee Prosperity Plan. He did not really talk about what our cries are. He didn't talk about corruption in depth. How is he going to ensure that his executives do not steal again and not go back behind his back and make his administration look bad, because now it's his name, it's his people. So those were the backfalls for on my side.
Yes, today I remembered the words of Kwame Nkrumah. He said, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and the rest shall be added unto you." But now what we witness today is that the president seems to have said, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and the rest shall be subtracted from you." That is how I summarize this State of the Nation address. The president did not go into the length of addressing the real issues. Especially, I was expecting him to spend more time on addressing inequality, poverty, unemployment, those triple challenges that we face. And the question of at least for now, the agricultural revolution in the context of the land reform. Because I always say that agricultural revolution is the higher stage of the land reform program. So in other words, I would have expected him to pump in more into the agricultural sector. Zambezi region is almost same in size with Japan. I expected him to talk more about food sovereignty there, because you can't have a situation whereby people that live close to the rivers are still receiving Harambee food grains. It's unacceptable. And also the plight of the workers at Ozinger, using Orange River whenever the nature calls, and even when there is time for other stuff, is that the president at least agreed with the call made already yesterday by the operative secretary when he had his intervention on Ozinger and North Overland. We need to build houses and develop a housing program at Ozinger. I am very much happy because the president agreed with us there, and also on the trade board that he seems to suggest. He said they are starting some systems in Rwanda and Singapore, and of course he needs to study some LPM proposals that we have in this regard. So there he did, but on the rest, I think it's not the word. I think I want to advise the president to stop using the word prosperity in his vocabulary, because prosperity, it has a whole big psychological and philosophical meaning. You can't just talk about in the crisis of COVID-19 about prosperity. We all know tourism sector has grown down. It has gone down. We all know that the SME sector is struggling, and we all know that our revenue collection will be further going down. So you can't, let's stop. Whoever is the advisor that loves the word prosperity should revisit this, the meaning of the word prosperity, and let us stop using terms and terminologies that we are unable to articulate and even match with the subsequent programs and allocations.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Last week we had Rodney Hoib here speaking about what Johan Rupert said, that it's time for governments and everybody to press the reset button. And I don't necessarily like to quote some of these billionaires that have sucked blood out of others to make a good life for them, but he also then said that he's worried that governments will make promises that they can't keep. And I think today, government appears again through the SONA of the president to pretend that all is well. We are again told about the storms that we have to weather, and yet there is no plan. I think I expected this man to offer hope, to inspire people, and to call for a very profound manner of unifying this country, not only to deal with post-COVID issues, but to build a new economy of opportunity of all and for all. I expected him to talk about climate change economy, expected him to use more vocabulary and to have a more greater focus on sustainable development issues, the green economy, and to sort of transition the economy into an agrarian reform with green economy attached to it, and to talk about how we are going to optimize opportunities in the blue economy. It's important because he said that the blue economy is probably the only thing that we control. Very, very important statement he was making, because he was conceding that the mines and the land and all other sectors, the financial and others, we don't control. He said the fishing sector is what we control. And it corresponds with what we've been saying. Since we control the fishing sector, they have converted it into the biggest terrain of corruption for themselves. So, yet again, a missed opportunity to rally the country toward a particular direction of development that is inclusive, of shared growth, and to desist from temptations of creating impressions of prosperity and using vocabulary like thriving. That he has not been able to do. I didn't see a thorough connection between the budget statement and the goals that were stated and the State of the Nation address, and how these two documents speak to each other. I've also been whispering to Henny as we were seated there in reflecting that the good things that the President appears to be saying at State of the Nation addresses do not filter through. For instance, he mentioned the issue of economic diplomacy. We were saying, where is economic diplomacy? Because if economic diplomacy was alive, we should have been able to get a lot of foreign direct investors coming. We should have been able to attract a lot of great capital from the rest of the world. We have not done it. What does it indicate? Either no economic diplomacy or a failure of economic diplomacy, if ever there is such a concept within the Ministry of International Relations. So I thought he came today to reinforce the principle that it's okay, you are hungry, you are poor, it's okay, we are doing whatever we can do. But in doing so, during the question and answer session, there was a clear contradiction between the Prime Minister and the President in respect of how they view the debt to GDP issue. The President clearly concerned about spiraling debt of 70% of GDP. Prime Minister, again, not concerned, telling us that we are investing in development agencies such as Agribank, such as DBN. We are funneling resources to people, and those will generate income, and therefore we shouldn't be able to be too worried about debt. Nothing of the likes have ever been seen where a prime minister, sitting prime minister, a former finance minister, and a sitting head of state differ on such a fundamental policy issue. Very, very interesting where they come from. Also, of course, and this is my last point, you can see that the president himself doesn't offer any new ideas. The government itself is tired. They came to fight. They thought they could control the opposition, but I think they realized today that the terrain of parliamentary politics has changed. And one of these changes, I must say, is that the ruling party must recognize how they speak to and engage with the opposition. One of the clear things that we've seen today is they are uncomfortable when criticized and when parliament becomes robust. I have that personal experience where the president, for instance, when I was poking him, began to talk about my mother, about the question of age and about the issue of how I must respect him, and as if that is a parliamentary rule without any exception. And I just want to make this clear. Look, all of us have mothers, and regardless of how old you are, when your mother has passed on, as in my case, as recently as last year, July, having suffered a long illness, having had 4 to 5 strokes and literally paraplegic, it hurts you. And the pain of having to, at a national stage, have your mother being invoked one way or the other is really sad, because that pain starts to be fresh. That pain starts to force you to sort of respond in ways that you may not ordinarily have responded. And another minister has done it before. They have not called him to order. President is doing it today. He was not called to order. And I wonder, what are the parameters of respect that somebody in a public office can invoke age versus your parents, and therefore it's okay. And when you respond to that type of problem, you continue to be blamed for being more and more disrespectful. If the president wanted to call me to order, he could have done it without invoking my mother. And I think it speaks to the inability of SWAPO to handle pressure, handle a robust parliamentary engagement, and it's a new epoch. It's a new epoch. We will have tough debates. We will have SWAPO panic in the chairs that they are seated in. Times have changed, dynamics have changed, debate formulas have changed. No more amen, SWAPO, you are correct. It has changed, and they must start to get used to this type of debating. It's a new day. We are not just opposition, we are alternative. And even when we disagree with them philosophically, we are able to provide alternatives within their own damning programs, as we did today. I hope he will not be sensitive unnecessarily and block some of the good recommendations that we've been making in the interest of the country. Because at the end of the day, when we're in parliament, it's not about party political colors, it's about the people of this country, all of them, regardless of political affiliation. So I thank all Namibians that have tuned in. We continue to work hard and fight hard for you. We make our mistakes as we are fighting, but we pick up the pieces. We have that promise that we have made, that we will fight for you. So stay with us, hang in there, and let's change this country together for the better.